Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Date with Tech. I'm your host, Naveen Bharadwaj. With me today, I have the pleasure of having Hasan Al Fardan, the CEO of Hasan Al Fardan Exchange. Hasan, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Hasan, I want to jump straight into our conversation, right?
Sure.
Everybody knows that you're the CEO of Fardan Exchange, and we will be talking a little bit about the business, but I want people to know the Hasan that they otherwise wouldn't know. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, where you grew up,
Sure.
where did you study, what were some of the favorite things that you did growing up?
Sure. Hasan Al Fardan, born and raised in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. I went to school in Abu Dhabi, and some of the things that I enjoyed doing in school was I was a huge basketball fan. Most of the things I enjoyed doing was actually martial arts. My father is a second degree black belt. I'm a first degree black belt as well in Taekwondo. And I grew up with a deep love of sports, and I love to compete. I competed in a number of competitions of martial arts. I was actually a national junior Taekwondo champion at some point. So very athletic, very sporty, not very talkative, surprisingly. Shy, sort of soft demeanor.
Yeah.
And here I am today.
Wow.
Here I am.
So I need to maintain some distance because you talked a lot about martial arts, and I need to also measure my words and be careful with what I say. Self-defense might just hurt me a little bit. Who's your favorite basketball player? Because you said you grew up as a basketball fan.
I grew up around the Kobe Bryant era.
Yeah.
I was a huge Lakers fan. And so was my friends. We used to play together. I played for a short period of time in Al Wahda club in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So basketball was a big part of our lives.
Yeah.
And not just the game itself, but watching the NBA. Wearing sneakers.
Yeah. Michael Jordan, second one.
What needs to be said more about Michael Jordan?
I think everybody that knows basketball loves him.
His dedication to his trade. Just this pursuit of excellence.
Yeah.
If you've seen his documentary, recently, yes, he is a tough character, and yes, he does push people, but he starts by pushing himself, and his incredible work ethic and his incredible dedication pushed him, and it pushed the people around him to achieve remarkable things. So it's a massive inspiration for me.
Absolutely, and there are a few books actually which relate to the kind of things that he's done and how it can actually be applied in business as well. Stretching oneself, never giving up, and that famous statement where he says, I take 30 odd shots, or I've taken 300 odd shots, but what matters the most is that one shot which converts, right?
Absolutely. And look at Michael Jordan as a player, how much success he achieved. Look at him today as a businessman, how much success he's achieved. I think he owns the Washington Wizards, if I'm not mistaken. And multiple. Look at his brand. Going strong today. It's been a couple of decades since Michael Jordan retired, but then his brand is still going very, very strong.
Yeah, true. On that note,
a lot of lessons to learn.
Yeah, absolutely, a lot of lessons to learn. And on that note, I think. Your family, the Al Fardan, is also quite a significant brand, right? These days, everybody is talking about personal branding, and I think we are lucky in this region that there are a lot of families that knowingly or unknowingly created that personal brand. So how did all of that start? How did this massive Al Fardan empire come to be?
My grandfather, God bless him, he's still with us. He's 95 years old. I think is a deep source of inspiration for me and for many members of my family. So he started the group in 1954. And our family business was centered around the natural pearl trade. So by virtue of Dubai being a hub for multiple countries and multiple regions, my grandfather was dealing with various currencies. And as foreign expats started to make their way to the UAE, a solution was needed, to transfer money overseas. So the very first remittance that happened in the UAE happened between the Fardan Exchange and the National Bank of Egypt. And the very first license issued by the Central Bank of UAE was a foreign exchange house was Al Fardan Exchange.
Wow, I think that's something that most people are not aware of.
Yeah, and any business or any product or any service needs to be born out of a genuine need.
Yeah.
So, back in those days, whether it's expatriates from Egypt, or many other diasporas that are present today in the UAE, they needed a solution, and my grandfather provided that solution.
Nice. So the mindset of solving a problem as opposed to brooding about a problem.
Absolutely.
Very good. One country, so you said it's Egypt. You guys were the first to be awarded the license, and then you started with the first transaction happening with NBE.
Yes, correct.
Today, how many countries is Al Fardan Exchange in?
So we deal with correspondents, 150 correspondents around the globe. So we literally cover the entire globe. We have an operation that's active practically 24/7. Very similar in structure to a bank. Only difference is we don't issue credit.
Right.
And when I look at the way the business landscape has evolved, the way technologies have evolved, ultimately also centers around a specific customer demand. Are we providing what customers need, and how are we actually doing that?
Yeah. So you're in pretty much all continents, minus Antarctica, or maybe even that.
maybe
Some of them.
maybe we'll get there one day. Who knows?
So, Hasan, excuse me, but most of us, right, when you talk about an exchange, we think of, or we have this image of over the counter, people queuing up with cash and its legacy. You have the counting machines, and it takes forever to get through things. But we hear that you guys are doing something different under your leadership. So I actually want to hear about what's happening behind the scene and what type of transformation that you're bringing into this so-called banking is, again, can be perceived as quite a boring side, but it's transforming pretty fast.
Yes.
How is that happening at Al Fardan Exchange?
Sure. Look, I mean, any product or service that you want to offer to the market, to a customer, you have to start with the customer journey, right? So there's an optimal journey that we're trying to achieve for our customers, and then we go back into our operations and see how can we achieve that. There's an expectation now of real-time settlements. So the moment you hit the button of send money, people are expecting to receive it within seconds. And if they don't receive it within seconds, then hey, what's going on in the background, right? Managing all these correspondent banks and managing the complications of compliance. I don't think people appreciate how difficult it is. For them it's easy as I come to a counter, I use the app, and they expect money to be received within seconds. Many of our products and services now are heading towards that direction, and we're thinking up and beyond of just a simple remittance, but perhaps focusing a little bit on the remittance itself. Now, we've deployed AI technology in our operations the last couple of years, and starting predominantly with compliance, because I think that there was a real use case. In compliance lingo, people talk about various typologies that we try to protect against. Money laundering and terrorist financing and the associated topics. So we found a real life application that we deployed within our systems. And with machine learning programs, you have to allow systems to learn and to evolve, and then you fine tune them over time. So over time, we started to see a higher rate of detection of certain typologies that would otherwise be very difficult to detect without AI technology. So we've implemented it very, very successfully, and we're starting to see more and more rollout within our sector, and particularly within banking.
Nice. So from onboarding, because you mentioned compliance, I would also imagine onboarding, KYC, and then kicks in your AML element.
Yes.
You mentioned something interesting. You need to allow machine learning multiple iterations before you can actually perfect it, right?
Absolutely.
I personally believe, because I run a business as well, that the same is true even just for your general teams, right?
Absolutely.
What's your appetite for risk, and what's your tolerance for failure when it comes to your teams?
You have to allow some capacity for failure, right? If you don't, then quite honestly, you're not going to allow proper innovation to happen. It's those failures that provide sort of a baseline for you to actually improve and perfect things. So the idea really, or the trick, is to expose yourself and to allow yourself and your teams and people around you to go out there to try to make mistakes, and actually those mistakes will be translated into new iterations and new products. If you make the mistake of not allowing people to fail, then ultimately as a business you will fail.
True. It might sound like a cliche, but failures are true stepping stones to success, because if you're not learning, complacency kicks in.
Definitely.
If you're not failing, you're not trying new things.
No, definitely. Look, I mean, as a family business, we don't have necessarily a short-term mind frame. We want to make X amount in the following year or the following years, right? The way that we're seeing digital disruption happening, you have to allow for expenditure that may not immediately result in an ROI, and you have to have a mindset that is rather exploratory. It doesn't mean you walk in blindly into adopting these technologies. You have a clear vision, a clear mindset, a clear strategy, and you have to make sure that your digital infrastructure is actually capable of delivering these products. I think people fail on strategy, they fail on execution. They fail, in delivery. Sure. Sometimes you think you've developed, the best product in the market. You go to market and you discover that, hold on, this is far from perfect.
Yeah,
and that's okay. and that's okay. There's nothing too wrong with that, provided that you've taken that experience and you've developed it into a learning opportunity, and you take that to market. Yes, it does sound cliche, but I can't emphasize how important it is.
Absolutely. I think sometimes I tell people that it's not actually cliche. These are the fundamental building blocks.
Yes.
It's the foundation.
Yes.
Right. And foundation will be repeated often, but that's the only way that you can perfect it. I picked up one word again. You mentioned strategy, right?
Yeah.
Again, there's a famous saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Absolutely.
Do you believe in that?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That's one of my favorite quotes, actually.
What type of culture do you guys have in Al Fardan? Coming, family business.
No, definitely.
Now you've created change. There's technology coming in. You're running faster than usual.
Yes.
How do
Yes.
you manage that, or how do you bring that culture of growth, try, fail, succeed, but make sure that you're running as fast as the rest of the world, if not faster?
For me, the way I deal with my immediate team, my immediate reports, is that we're focused about providing an ecosystem for people to thrive. Right? I don't expect people to clock in at 9 o'clock and leave at 5 o'clock. You can come in whatever hour you like and leave whatever you like, provided that you're actually delivering what's required for the business. We have committees within the business that is really there to provide people an avenue, to talk, to share ideas, to explore, and we actually encourage experimentation. We encourage people to come out and speak. My style of management and the culture I try to drive in the business is one of effective collaboration, and one of, okay guys, let's talk to each other, let's work together, let's try. We fail together and we succeed together.
I think the sportsman in you is influencing and shaping the leader in you as well, right? Because there you do have to take those shots. You do need to pass even if you have a clear shot, so somebody else can play and win. And ultimately, it's the team that's winning, not yourself.
Absolutely.
So I can. It's screaming and shouting in the culture that you've created in the company. Finance, okay, we get that. Exchange, remittances, helping money move, or let me call it as money mobility, right?
Yeah.
What else can we expect from Al Fardan in the coming years?
Sure.
What else are you guys
Sure.
venturing into?
So we're in the process of developing our own wallet, which we're expecting to launch, inshallah, hopefully early next year.
Okay.
And we're not just looking at our customer as just a remittance customer. For us, we think of the customer as a life partner. So what can we provide within our ecosystem of services to actually simplify transactions, to simplify basic needs of family? Ultimately, most of our customers have families with which they have to cater for their requirements overseas, right? What are we doing on the send side? What are we doing on the receive side to make lives of people a lot easier?
Yeah.
I talked about our early wage access product that's inshallah going to market in due course, and the way that we take a traditional service and actually make it more accessible. I gave the example of let's say a customer that has an urgent need that rises, let's say, within their home country in Pakistan. I'll give the example of that. So, can we use, let's say, and if it's a WPS customer of ours, we can use the data that we have of that customer, the transactional data, to help us actually derive a product and actually do a risk assessment on that product and on the customer, to be able to release funds to them before their salary comes in, to cater for their personal requirements or their family requirements in the receive country. This is taking a genuine use case of a demand that comes out of the blue. Because even though you'd say you have a predictable salary cycle, right? Something may come up mid-cycle. Something may come up, at the time that you weren't necessarily budgeting for. So this is where our solution and our product comes and actually caters for a need of a customer.
So you're helping advance their needs.
Yes.
You're helping them solve the unfactored budget issue, or in other means. I mean, it's in a fun way. You're letting them have that pocket money, and then of course you're holding them accountable for making sure that they create that discipline.
Of course. Look, I mean, no matter how disciplined you are, or how regimented you are, or how structured you are, life will hit you in ways that you may not necessarily have predicted or thought about, right? So when that happens, we are a partner to help you and support you.
That's fantastic. I think it's. I want to use the word noble, but I also want to be conscious that it can be used for so many different things. But to think of, hey, it's not just you have money, you send it home, but then think of, you don't have money, we can support you, and you need not depend on the legacy loans or credits or anything else. I think it's both a noble and a smart move. Congratulations in advance for
Thank
new
you.
products that'll be coming out there.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
want to have a quick rapid fire with you based on
Sure.
the conversation that we've had so far.
Sure.
Answers yes, no, or perhaps a line. But you mentioned earlier you're not so talkative. So one exception to the rule. If you do want to expand on any of the answers, we will let you.
Sure.
Because you're not so talkative. Cool.
Sure.
If you were given a chance, because you're an athlete and you talked about martial arts, if you were given a chance to be a martial artist full-time versus CEO of Al Fardan Exchange, would you take it?
I think it's too late to become an athlete.
Smart
I
answer.
think it's too late to become an athlete. I love sports and I love what it does. I mean, martial arts for me, it gave me discipline, gave me clarity of mind, gave me humility, which I think is a very important trait. One needs to adapt. I mean, at some point in my life, I was studying or I was training as well in Muay Thai kickboxing, and I'll never forget this quote from our coach. Is that if your enemy refuses to be humble, destroy him. Right? There's an expectation, be it a martial artist, a CEO, that there has to be a level of grounding and humility. Right? Don't think that you're smarter than other people. Don't think that you're wiser. Don't think you're better off. Always remain open to ideas. Always remain open to discussions, and be humble enough to realize that you're wrong when you are.
In this discussion, I'm actually learning something or reminding myself of something that's very important. So staying humble and humility. People like me in general, we are quite passionate. We might come across a bit aggressive, but I remind myself every single day that it's actually humility that can take people very, 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 very long, right?
Absolutely.
So thanks for reminding me of that. Second thing, you talked about a couple of your favorites, right? Actually, you mentioned Kobe, and then I brought in Michael. Who's your favorite leader, and why?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Sheikh Zayed, and I'll tell you why. It's rare to find leaders that lead with compassion in such a profound way. Sheikh Zayed always puts himself, in the perspective of, and I give the example of the Emirati citizen, UAE citizen. What am I doing to make sure that they're provided for in terms of housing, in terms of education, in terms of medical care? Always thinking and worrying about, how am I using my authority, my responsibility to make other people's lives better, right? Leadership for me is about service. It's not about assuming authority. It's about what am I doing in my capacity as a leader to help those around me, to support those around me, and to make those around me shine.
Yeah.
I'm just one person. I can only give X amount of hours of work per day, per month, per year. Right? I cannot achieve anything on my own. But it's about the environment and the ecosystem that I try to foster. And empower the people around me. I mean, Sheikh Zayed had some remarkable people around him that helped him achieve his ambitions, and we are, alhamdulillah, and Allah have mercy on his soul and bless him and his progeny, and our leaders have given us a perfect, I would say, example or role model for us to emulate this leadership.
So unity, diversity, inclusion,
Yes.
and making sure that people, and I carefully choose it. I've been living here for the last 12 years, right? So not just citizens, but everybody that's on this land are very well taken care of. I think that's the legacy that Sheikh Zayed has left behind. But his values, the principles, and his leadership style, it's not legacy, because this is something that you see every single day. And I think 50, 100, 500 years down the lane, it still stand quite tall, right? So,
Absolutely. And again, these are universal principles, right?
yes.
You don't have to go to an Ivy League university to learn this stuff. It's humility, being a decent person, and putting the priorities or the needs of others in front ahead of your own, and just conducting yourself in a way that is I would say consistent with these principles, and really learning and observing from others that do it very, very well.
Yeah. And the monumental 1971 decision and his ability to champion, bring everybody together, commit to something, and till date, that commitment being quite strongly driven and observed by all these different beautiful 7 Emirates. I think that's hats off to Sheikh Zayed, and hats off to you actually for bringing his name up.
Thank you.
You're in UAE. You're of course, you're between all different Emirates. if you were to choose another country for you to live in, for whatever reason, what would that country be?
I was born in the UAE. I will live in the UAE and I will die in the UAE.
Ah, Hasan, that's amazing. I thought you were going to pick some country, like
No.
just for the sake of, but
No.
yeah.
You know, okay, besides the fact that I'm Emirati and I'm biased, you know, look at the quality of life that we have in this country.
Yeah.
Look at the benevolence of our leadership and the wisdom of our leadership. You know, alhamdulillah, you know, we have amongst the safest cities in the world, state of the art, you know, facilities and technologies, incredible levels of education. Why would I go anywhere else? Why would I go anywhere else? And I think, you know, the model that we have in UAE is a model that I think many countries around the world would love to replicate.
Absolutely.
And it seems easy for those that are not really involved in developing all these things, but it's a very difficult model to emulate.
Yeah, true.
And we're blessed, really blessed. Well, why would I leave anywhere else?
Fantastic answer. When the world is choosing UAE as home,
Yes,
why would you choose another home?
absolutely.
Fantastic. Hasan, one last thing before we close this segment of Date with Tech.
Sure.
You mentioned a lot of interesting things that appeals to people of different age groups.
Yeah.
However, particularly the youth today, because there's so much emphasis on youth empowerment
Yes.
in UAE, globally, in businesses, so on and so forth,
Yeah.
right? If you were to give a couple of key messages, things that youth today must focus on to make the world a better place, what would that be?
Focus on founding on your principles, right? I think more than ever in this time and day, you know, we have to equip our kids for a world that is evolving beyond human imagination. So just empowering and educating our kids, you know, on fundamentals, I think, of financial literacy and financial education, and also bringing them and developing a basic knowledge or basic competency on things like, you know, like blockchain and coding and digital currencies. Because I mean, you know, we're working with a prospective partner, which I can't share publicly at this point, to develop you know, applications whereby we teach kids the importance of saving. You know, we teach kids the importance of investing, you know, in low risk, low return investments. You know, which is better than just your money sitting in an account or a wallet not doing anything. So in a world whereby, you know, economic cycles are shrinking and a lot more unpredictable, we have to instill basic, I would say, literacy, financial literacy and investment education and basics of, in my opinion, blockchain in particular, with children, so they understand, you know, the incredible benefits they could get from these. Also, we're also looking at gamifying certain solutions to make them easy for kids. So if they're saving, you know, a particular target amount, or if they're investing, maybe in a particular way, that they get you know, various points and they can redeem them in various ways or forms. So make it fun, make it interactive, make it engaging, and make it rewarding.
Fantastic. I wish that somebody could teach me financial literacy while I was quite young, because those are your foundational years and it's the best time. There's never a better time, in my opinion, but at the same time, it's the best time for you to pick up some of those good habits. So I'm glad that you brought in financial literacy. You also brought in the element of gamification, which means you do attract them. You don't bring them once, but you teach them.
Keep them coming.
Interactive means you keep them. And then there are other things. You talk about blockchain, you talk about incentivization and rewards. So I think that's fantastic. Hasan, thank you for the humble, approachable leader you are. Thank you for your time on our episode of Date with Tech.
Absolute pleasure.
Until next time, wish you all the best and congratulations in advance for everything that you have lined up to launch.
Thank you very much.